When we think about the locations of queer films, we think about New York, Los Angeles. That's what dominates the landscape. So what we're not seeing is like queer stories set in Central America, Eastern Europe, Sub-Saharan Africa, or the Middle East. Where should we be telling stories next? Are they telling stories there?
We should be telling our stories everywhere. Everywhere. There's gay people and LGBTQ people everywhere. Everywhere.
Listen, even when you were saying Eastern Europe, I thought back to like me in like Budapest. I'm like, there's definitely gay people over there. So yeah, it should be set in other places. But I do understand why they're set in places like San Francisco and New York, because I think they've always been like the epicenter of like our communities, at least in America. I can't speak for internationally.
It is important if you think about it, what the environment is around it, where the story is being told, because it will affect how, you know, it's in the story, whether or not they can walk down the street holding hands without being afraid of like somebody's gonna come and blow their brains out and things like that, you know, and that adds a different color to the story. Right. But I feel that said, we just keep on focusing on telling our stories wherever, any space that we have and any space that we can find to tell them, you know, because we need to tell them, and there's so little opportunity to put them out there that, you know, if this is what gets, you know, whatever scenario is, just take advantage of it.
Well, I think it's also important to just kind of like me saying like a story like of how I grew up, and it's also important not to wait for anyone else to tell the story, and knowing like, you know, it made me think like, oh, I can tell that story, I can figure something out. So I think that's also very important to know, because I think a lot of us kind of just wait around and like, oh, I haven't seen this story. It's like we all have the power. Everyone has phones, everyone has 4K cameras. So we have a lot more resources to tell our stories and not have to wait for like a studio or, you know, something, I guess, more formal. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's 2025, but you keep on like every day you read the news and there's a new place nowadays, a new country that is putting more limitations on LGBTQ content. I can't remember right now if it was China that I read the other day. I believe so, where now you cannot have LGBTQ relationships on television, and trans characters are not even accepted. Like you cannot have any trans characters on television. So I mean,
and I think maybe going back to the point of why we see the same locations, it might be because of that, because you know, other places are so much more strict. I feel like, unfortunately, we're falling down that path too now. But, because I would love, I mean, I've never seen like a Chinese gay love story. Now that I'm thinking about it, like, I'm like, I've never seen anything like that, or I would love to see it. But I guess, how do you approach that? Because like, to your point, as an American, like, is it appropriate for someone that didn't grow up in that environment to tell that story? Because what would be that story? You know what I mean?
Yeah, authenticity. I get what you're saying. That's what you're talking about, right? Like you're concerned about the authenticity of.
I was just wondering, like, we were differentiating with the question where are we talking about us going around the world? In which case, I think it could be totally cool if we got like an all expenses paid trip around the world to tell stories and write stories. I'm definitely for that. But yeah, I think it's just it's a different question, right? Like whether or not we're seeing stories coming from those areas, from the people who live there and experience it, or if we as artists here in America should be telling these stories from in different locations. Just what would that bring to the stories?
I think like that's the different locations idea is a good idea nowadays, just because there's certain countries that are more favorable to support LGBTQ projects. For example, you know, like Spain to this day, as we went to Spain, you know, their initiatives, you know, they're very much forward into like telling those stories and supporting them. That unfortunately in 2025, there's like this huge conservative wave taking over the world, and it's become harder every day. And I, as a producer, sometimes when I have to go find a location for something, some of the places ask, you know, what's the content about? And some of them, for example, when I was in Indonesia, if it had any LGBTQ content or relation, they were not interested in letting you do it.
Wow.
So that was interesting as well. You know?
But you still shot, there was no LGBT?
Well, I mean, the project that I was shooting at the moment didn't have any representation. And you know, please, my life is all about representation. But I have to tell you, when I found out with this one particular place that they said, if it's LGBTQ, we're not interested, I moved on. I was like, I'm just not gonna support this, because I'm not gonna come spend my money or give exposure to a place that's just not gonna.
There's so
you
many
know,
layers and things to
I was
think
almost like,
about.
thank you for letting me know, but now I don't even want to do it here.
Yes,
You know what I mean?
hear you. I hear you.
Are there any places you would be interested in like seeing those type of stories? Like any locations, any cities, any countries that come to mind?
You know, I'd love to like really like push the envelope, and maybe if it was like in Russia or like
Yeah.
in certain countries of our Latino countries where like it's still viewed as like, you know,
I'd
why?
love North Korea.
Can you
Like, are there
imagine?
gay people
Listen,
there?
I think we should go on a trip around the world to find our next location, but not to North Korea.
Well, we're not allowed there anyway, so.
Or not? Or we're
No,
not? They have
yeah.
some tourism, don't they?
No,
So just
we
really
can't. Like, we can't go.
Americans.
Yeah, Americans
Oh,
can't go.
why
So
don't
now we got a double whammy. We're gay and we're American.